everybody, and a very warm welcome to you to Level Up Your Learning with Quitch. So I'm delighted to have you join me this morning. And my name is Professor Grainne Oates. I'm the CEO and founder of Quitch. I'm also an academic at Swinburne University here in Melbourne. So today what I plan to do is spend approximately 20 minutes running through the presentation of Quitch. So I'm going to start with showcasing you the student interface and that personalized feedback students will receive and that student side of things from their experience. Then I'll move into the educator side and show you all of the analytics around the performance of content, the analytics around the performance of your students, and how you can reach out and identify who's at risk early. And then I'm going to show you the part where you can add your content to Quitch and you can use our new AI feature to create lots of questions specifically around that content that you have uploaded. So I'll get started, and please feel free to pop any questions you have in the Q&A tab, and we can come to them at the end. So let's go. So you can see here, when we talk about Quitch, Quitch is defined as a gamified mobile learning platform. And it was designed as a mobile-first solution. It was co-designed with students, and a mobile was very important to them. You can see here that we have now a desktop version as well, because we wanted to make sure that it was accessible for all students, even those without a smartphone. So the first thing I want to show you here is we can see here that I have signed into a Future Ready Innovation Framework. So this is me as an individual student and looking at my performance around this content. So I've started off, you can see here the quizzes, and you can see this traffic light system. And the idea here was that students had specifically asked for personalized feedback. Now, how do you do that at scale if, let's say, you've got 1,000 students in your first year engineering or accounting unit? So what our Quitch AI has done is we have designed the traffic light system to give immediate feedback to students that is personalized to their own performance. So if you can look here at module 3, you see that it is highlighted in green. So what that means is that I have done as a student very well in module 3. So I've performed really well. I've done the questions. I've answered them quickly. I've answered them correctly. So that's a module that I know I don't need to worry about. I'm on top of that. However, if I look at module 1, for example, it's this kind of yellow color. That means, I've done okay in that module. I haven't done great. I really need to work on mastering that content there. So the idea is I go back to it until I master it. And we can see in module 2 that I've done pretty poorly. It's that kind of that red shade. So this means that I need to go back, I need to re-practice that material, and I need to be able to master it. I am not there at this point. But let's jump in here, and I'll go into module 1 for the moment. So the students, you might upload resources for them. So you can upload a video, you might upload a case study, you might upload a PowerPoint presentation. And then I'll show you later, our Quitch AI will create questions from that resource that you have uploaded. So if we start here, it's gamified, remember, so you have that bit of a countdown to get you going. There's a video here for me to watch in this instance by AI CPA. So I'm going to continue on and then just show you here. These are the questions that are being asked. In this case, it's a multiple choice question. And in this case, I'm going to select new computers, which I hope is my correct answer. And yes, I got that right. So it gives me this feedback telling me good work. The idea is, remember, Quitch is an engagement tool. The idea is to keep your people engaged, practicing, coming back for more. And you can see also I've got these 3 hearts. So I've got 3 lives remaining because I got this correct on that first instant. So you can, of course, offer more lives or more attempts if you like, or you can also, of course, remove those. So I continue on, and then let's see, what is a moonshot? So I think it's something that solves, I think, a really big problem. I'm going to select. And again, nice one, I've got that correct. And we can see here again, I've got these lives remaining. So continue on, my next question, and let's see if I've got this one. In this instance, I've got it incorrect. It tells me straight away. So I can show the answer. By showing the answer, you'll see again the gamification. I've lost those lives now. but now I can continue on. And in the same spirit as Duolingo, any questions that I got incorrect will come back at the end and give me an opportunity to do those again. So continuing on, you can see I can upload images as well. And we'll see if we've got the correct one there. Excellent. So I'm doing pretty well overall. And then it gives me that end of round. So they are all of the questions for that particular resource that I have set up. So we can see that here, the class average is 29 for this question. I'm doing quite well at a 75%. I'd like to be right over here with the whole green. I look at my previous results. I can also see who I am on the leaderboard and that there's another module waiting for me to start. But for now, I'm going to jump back in here. And what I want to do now is I want to show you this dashboard that is available to me as an individual student as well. So we can see here, I have completed 100% of the material available to me by my academic or by my institution. I've got a pretty low accuracy of only 52%. I've tried 132 attempts. I've got 74 correct. So we can see here again, how is you doing compared to the class average? This is something very specifically that students wanted. They wanted to know, how am I doing in real time compared to my colleagues? And then, of course, we've got all of these achievements and level up that you get as you move through 10, 15 so questions correct, all of those achievements. So a little summary here for you of how you're doing in your own personal performance. And then we've got our leaderboard, which is key in Quitch. So we can see here, I'm the Determined Jade Phoenix is my name. These are all of my achievements. I have 73 points. I've answered 132 questions. These are all of my activities. Again, that engagement, how do I drive that? And we can see that my mastery is very low at only 52%. So again, students asked for a summary of how they're doing, and so that they can see what do they need to do to get better. Okay, so they can get a progress on the number of questions, sections, resources, and so on that they have answered. But the other important thing is they also wanted to know, hey, how is this person at the top doing? How much time have they spent in here playing? What is their mastery level? And the student said this gives them an incentive to actually work harder and they know the level of effort they need to get to the top of that leaderboard. So achievements, badges, leaderboard, and so on, competing with their colleagues, but remember, competing anonymously. So nobody knows I'm Grainne on this leaderboard. To them, I'm the Determined Jade Phoenix. So that's from our student perspective. You can also see here that I can actually send messages to the mobile phone of my students as well. So I can send out an announcement that'll go directly again to their mobile phone, because they told me we don't do email. They wanted everything for practice on their mobile phone. So when they're on the bus, when they're traveling in between classes, they can knock practice over quickly. But also the other important thing they asked for was, they said one of the issues they had with the learning management systems was that the learning management system was wasting time in terms of when they went back in there from the previous time, there was nothing new for them to engage with. So what we've done here is taken that push versus pull. And what we do now is we push them a notification each time new material is unlocked. So they're constantly being engaged and told what's new to them. So I'm jumping over here now to our educator side of things. So you can see here what we're doing now is we're taking an aggregate of all of the submissions of all of your students and letting you as an educator know in real time how is the content performing. So there's two key things as academics we want to know. We want to know the performance of your content in real time so you can support your cohort, and you want to know the performance of your students in real time as early as possible, because we know, of course, that the sooner we intervene and support, the much greater chance of success those students are. So whether they're studying at university or whether they're a student accountant for CPA and so on and practicing towards their exams, we want to know, we want to be able to support them. So we've got here, if we look at module 1, we can see it's highlighted in green. So overall, they've got a 72% accuracy. So not too bad in this particular area. And you can see it actually even takes it down to the question level. So any of these questions that are in green, overall your cohort have done pretty well. Okay, so it's going to give us here, we can see a summary. My internet is a bit slow here, but it will tell us that more than 80% of our students indeed got this question correct. Versus if, for example, we go to this orange-red color, we can see that actually probably only 20%, in this case, we can see 34% of students only got that correct. So this guides you in real time to focus on what are the areas of difficulty for your students. So we're always focused on our student needs. So remember, the educator side of things, a focus on two key things: the performance of content in real time, and you're seeing that here, and then the performance of our students in real time. But essentially what we do here is we can see all of our learners, and I can identify which of my learners have been identified at risk. And what I can do there is that I can reach out to those students through my announcement feature. So you can see here at the beginning, what we generally do is we look at the entire class in the first instance, and we could send an announcement out to them. And that's a nice welcome announcement at the beginning of your semester or your year. But then we can also identify which are our students who are at risk. So we identify here, or I identify for my class, any student who's getting less than 50% correct, I identify them as risk. And what I can do now is I can send an announcement out to those students. It may be I'm running a workshop next week. It may be I want you to work on these more introductory modules, whatever the case may be, but it will go now directly to their mobile device on this particular date at 8 a.m. We also discovered there was another group of students who had signed up to engage with the platform, but they had not answered any questions, or maybe one. Now, I want to send a different message to those students versus those who are engaged and trying to get their head around this content. So I just select the not participated in this instance. And in that case, what I do is, again, send them that message. It's about really building confidence at this early stage, because we know the earlier we intervene and support, the much greater chance of success our students have. So we can send these announcements directly to their mobile phones. You'll see over here then we've got our reporting function. So a number of academics use Quitch to write research papers. So for example, you can look here at all of your learners, the results. You can download all of this information to a CSV file. And a lot of academics, as I said, are publishing research on the improvements or the outcomes for their students in the once they've implemented Quitch. So you have the opportunity to do all of that as well. You can break it down, as I said, into these different areas. And what I want to show you now next is our kind of exciting new feature, if you like. And this is our area where, let's say you have a blank canvas and you are starting from scratch. So what I want to do here is I want to create something entirely new for my topic. And I've got an option. I can start from scratch and just type some questions if I want it straight in. If you've got hundreds of questions that you have been made available to you from previously, or you collect them over a number of years, you can upload those. But what I want to show you today is our Create with AI. So I'm going to continue here. And what I have the option of, I can upload a document. So for example, I can upload my PowerPoint presentation to my students from this week, or I can block so let's say a case study or a block of text I want to put in. I also have the option to do that. But I'm going to show you here, upload a document from scratch. So I'm going to go to one of my documents, my PowerPoint from, let's say, week 3 of my delivery of lectures this semester. So I'm going to upload that document. And what the Quitch AI is going to do now, it's going to scan all of the text within that document, and it's going to create 10 questions from that text. So these questions will be a combination of multiple choice, select one, select all that apply. There could be a drag and drop question, true or false questions, and they will also create an explanation for you. So we found that 10 was a good rule of thumb to do a revision on your material. So we're sticking with that, and based on feedback, of course, we look to hear what you have to say there as well. So you then have the opportunity, of course, to check these, make sure you're happy with them. We always do encourage you to fact check them. It is AI. We need to make sure it is accurate and you're happy with them. If you, for any reason, don't like any of these questions, you could just simply remove it. If you don't like this explanation, again, you have the opportunity to delete it. And if you don't like any of these answers, you can get rid of those as well. But in this instance, I'm going to assume that I'm happy with the 10 questions that have been created from my content. I'm going to continue to organize, and I'm going to use language here that my students are familiar with. So maybe week 1, or it could be module 1, and it might be introduction to accounting in this case. So I'm going to complete my import, and you'll see that that happens basically automatically. What I have now over here on the right-hand side, I've got a preview of what it looks in the app. This is very important for us as academics and for any educators to make sure we're happy with what is being pushed out to our learners. So I have a quick review of all of my questions here, and I can see, yes, I'm happy with all of them. And once I'm happy with them, what I can do then is I can actually publish them to go out to my students. I also, and I'll show you that in one moment, but I also have the option, let's say I wanted to add an image, I can do that. So you can upload an image from your file, or we've got a library here for you. So let's say I'm going to put in science here. And this is, again, making that experience for your students that little bit nicer. So let's say I select this image here. I'm going to select done. And what you can see now on the app for your students, this image is going to preview here. It'll be in there on the app for them prior to the question that you have set for them. Also, if I want, I can also add my videos. So I've got, or I could upload a PDF as well if I want it. So you can see here I can upload Vimeo, YouTube, and Wistia. So all of these, you simply paste your link in here and you can have all your resources there as well. So I'm going to assume that I'm happy with the, I'm going to just remove that one for the moment. And I'm going to assume that I'm happy with all of the content and that I am ready to go in terms of pushing it out to my students. So I'm going to select the publish button here. And you can see that I can select all of the topics that I've set up, or I can go week by week. And let's say I go next. And I can publish it all now. If I'm in my class and pushing this out to my students, I can do that straight away. Or indeed, I might have the option, I want to set it up for next week. So what I find myself is for first year students, I kind of drip feed the content out to them kind of week by week, because what they have said to me in feedback is they feel overwhelmed if there's all of 12 weeks worth of content available to them straight away. And they just, because they haven't come across that content previously in their lives, so they really get daunted and it really dents their confidence. MBA students I work with, on the other hand, they want everything up straight away. And so I can leave that for them and they work through it at their own pace. But here you can decide, and let's say I'm going to publish it on this date and time. And now it's gone out to my students and it is all good to go. So therefore, I now have set up, so it takes me approximately a minute to set up my 1 week worth of material. So for a 12-week semester, it takes me, say, 10 to 12 minutes to get my revision material ready for my students. So I'm just about talked for 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm just going to remind you, you can do reporting. You can also go in here and create your content. And then the other thing, of course, we looked at was that student experience as well. So we're just going to have a quick look at that for you and remind you of what they can do. So they've got, you can have a number of classes, of course, available to them, that personalized feedback, providing that at scale for your students. So I'm going to stop sharing now and see if there are any questions that you have for me. And I've got some have come directly to me. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions if there. So what kind of data and analytics does Quitch provide? And how can educators use it to support at-risk students? So this is very clearly apparent in the educator portal side of things, where I didn't show you the leaderboard today, but you would see on the leaderboard, you would filter for all of your students that are at risk, and you will send that announcement feature then just to those students. And that really, as I said, it's really about building their confidence. You want to intervene and support as early as you can in the semester. So we want to know, when are these students at risk? We want to support them. So hopefully that I have explained that to you. And by all means, if you'd like me to do an individual demo for you or in your institution, please feel free to let me know. The other one is, can we customize the content in Quitch to suit our curriculum, or do we have to use preset templates? That's a great question. I would say you have the option, of course, to add your own content. We can, in some instances, we might have some content introductory accounting for you, but that mightn't exactly align with your curriculum. So you have the two options. You can use, in some instances, material that we provide to you, but absolutely you can also customize for your own content. And just another one here, which seems to work well with heavily text-based learning content. What about for those subjects that rely more on formulas and calculations like mathematics? That's a great question, and that is something we have been working on. And some of you may be familiar with Professor Matthew Bales at Swinburne University. He is a bit of a legend in terms of science, and Matthew has joined our advisory board recently, and it was one of the things that Matthew raised actually, that he didn't feel we had enough support for those mathematics, science, and engineering subjects. So we're actually just about to release a numerical question type, which will deal with all of those type of questions, all of those subjects that rely on formulas and equations. So thank you for that question, because I would have forgotten to comment on it otherwise. I have another question then. How does the AI generated content work? And can educators review or edit the material before students see it? Now, I should have actually addressed that, and it's a very good point to make. You do actually have an opportunity to review all of that content, and you also have the opportunity to delete any questions you don't like, to edit any of the answers that you don't like, and also, of course, you can start from scratch and basically create that content if you want it yourself as well. So the AI works, we're finding better and better. When we started, we would find that some of the questions were really not very well structured. So we would find we were spending more and more time on editing them. We're finding, and most educators are saying this, that they are finding these days there is very, very little requirement for them to make any amendments to those questions and answers that the QA is creating, the AI is creating. So we'll keep improving. That will keep improving. I think, there's no doubt AI is probably at the worst it will be right now, and it just keeps improving and improving has been our experience. I have one more. Is Quitch available for all students, including those without smartphones? Again, a great question in terms of accessibility and so on. And absolutely, we originally did only have a mobile version of Quitch, but we now have a desktop version as well. So therefore, it is available for all students. And of course, at universities, if students don't have access to a smartphone, they can, of course, come to the library in most situations and borrow a laptop from there, and they can access Quitch through that. So I think I've answered all of the questions that have come through to me. Does Quitch do a live quiz feature that can be used synchronously in class? Now, some academics are using it in class. It doesn't work in quite the same way that Kahoot, which is what you may be thinking about. So in fact, I built Quitch because Kahoot while it was great in class and the students were having a lot of fun and engaging, it made no difference to their pass rates at the end. So actually, therefore, as a result of that, I actually built Quitch based off improvements I wanted to make to Kahoot. Now, you can use it in class, and it is used a lot for a live quiz. Some people do use it for a live quiz, but mostly people are using it for outside of the classroom. When students leave you today, until they come back next week, what are they engaging with? How can we connect them between leaving now and coming back next week? And that's what we want to do, which is first and foremost an engagement tool to keep our students practicing, to keep them coming back in terms of what they're wanting to achieve in terms of learning outcomes for students. So hopefully that answered your question there. So I might then wrap up if there is no further questions. And I should pop my email address, or actually, hopefully you have my email address. It is graineoates@quitch.com, and I'd be happy to work with you one-on-one if you wanted to work out a time for us to run you a demo. And if you want to have a play with the tool as well, you are most welcome to do that. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to hearing from you and look forward to hearing some great feedback on how your students are doing. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Bye now.